in the University of South Carolina. It's the AIAW National Collegiate Diving Championship. Top women divers, including Karen Gorham, who finished second last year, and Amy McGrath, a member of the 1980 U.S. Olympic team, compete in this 3-meter event. Also, the 1981 baseball.
You know, Mike Adamle is usually doing crazy things like this. Remember about a year ago when he did that belly flop off the 10-meter tower? Well, I'll tell you, funny things are happening here in Columbia, South Carolina, too, where Mickey King Hogue and I are covering the 1981 AIAW National Diving Championships. How about, come on, Mickey. Now, wait a minute. I need I need a little moral support on this 3-meter board here, not seasickness. Hey, this is one of the most unpredictable meets I think I've ever seen.
Well, I think you're right. We really can't pick a favorite. There are a lot of new names and new faces in the crowd, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing here today.
Well, isn't it a little unusual, though, to not be able to at least single out one or two at this stage of the competition?
I really don't think so. Not in a post-Olympic year. We have a lot of people that have retired, and there's a lot of new faces coming in, and that's natural.
Now, Mickey, you're the expert. You've got to go out on a limb a little bit, or out on the board, if you will, and maybe pick one or two.
Well, if you're going to force me into it, Lisa Sharp had a terrific semifinals, and Michelle Hain is in there, and Karen Gorham's got to be counted amongst the top. So you made me say it. Now let's go find out what they're going to do in the finals.
Mickey, before we do, let's go back and look at some of the dives.
Okay, Merle, this is Lisa Sharp from Miami. She was in first going into the 8th round. In second place was Michelle Hain, an SMU diver, doing a forward 2 1/2 somersault pike position. A little bit off on the finish, and she finished in 4th following that dive. In 3rd place, going into the 8th round, Chrissy Gentz from Minnesota. A very nice inward 2 1/2 somersault tuck position, and this moves her into 2nd place. Karen Gorham from Arkansas was in 4th in this round. She also does a forward 2 1/2 pike, and this very, very nice dive, which she earned 7s on, moved her into 3rd place.
And with those dives, the standings after 8 rounds show that Lisa Sharp of Miami is still holding 1st place. Chris Gentz of Minnesota is 2nd. Karen Gorham of Arkansas is 3rd, and Michelle Hain of Southern Methodist is 4th. We're now in the 9th round, and Lisa and Karen have already completed their dives, and Michelle Hain, a senior from Southern Methodist, is on the board. She's in 4th place and 44 points out of 1st.
Now, Michelle is doing a required dive, the last of her required dives, which all the women are doing this round. It's a 1.9 degree difficulty half twist, which she does very, very nicely.
The award.
And she scores 37.62 and moves from 4th place into 3rd.
6 1/2, 6 1/2.
Chris Gentz
from the University
in 2nd
of Minnesota.
Place. She's a junior from the University of Minnesota. Now, Chrissy needs a little more than 36 points, 36.87 if you will, to move into 1st place.
Chris is also doing the front dive 1/2 twist, just like Michelle did. A little bit short, though. Not quite as good as she would have liked, I'm sure.
And not quite enough points to take over 1st at 30.78, but good enough to move into 3rd place ahead of Michelle.
And Merle, the overhead camera gives us a chance to see that the half twist is both a front dive and a back dive all in one.
And after 9 rounds, we have a new leader, but not by much. Karen Gorham, a 1-point lead over Lisa Sharp. Chris Gentz is 3rd, and Michelle Hain is 4th. Michelle is one of several seniors appearing in their last AIAW. You know, traditionally, they pay special recognition to the freshmen by bequeathing to underclassmen such things as soggy towels, diving chamois, and other important items.
A toilet in each corner of the pool. All our hair conditioners.
Seriously, though, before the meet, we asked some of the seniors about their thoughts as they approached this, their final AIAW championship competition.
Experience is what it is. You know, not necessarily how old you are, what year in college you are, but experience helps a lot. This is my last AIAWs, and I would like to go out in style. I'm pretty happy about being a senior because I just feel like I'm moving on. This was a phase of my life, and it's chapter 3, I guess. I'm moving on to a different chapter of my life.
I have grown as a person, and I have met a lot of different people just throughout all of diving. I have matured as a diver, obviously, and I can really enjoy it now much more.
We'll be back with more Sports World after this. Hogue at Columbia, South Carolina, home of the Gamecocks. You know, they have a great facility here at the University of South Carolina with an excellent underwater window.
And Merle, this underwater window gives us a chance to study the underwater save. And earlier I asked Karen Gorham, the current leader, to do a front dive and purposely go past the vertical. In other words, do a crummy dive. Now you notice how her feet are past the vertical. Now watch as underwater you see she does absolutely nothing but let Mother Nature take her to the bottom of the pool. That is not a save. That is a normal, natural action. Now Michelle Hain came behind her and did a forward dive that was also going past vertical, but watch here as Michelle's feet bend toward the board. And she does a deep somersaulting action under the water and does not go nearly as deep as Karen did. The same principle can work on a reverse dive, and notice how shallow the divers go as she pulls her knees up under her body and cuts off the natural arc of the dive. And this bit of underwater gymnastics can actually change the angle of the dive above water. And folks, the judges do not study or do not count any of the underwater work.
Now we're going into the 10th round, and Mickey, we have 2 dives to go. This is Lisa Sharp in second place. She's 36 points out of first, and she was our leader after 8 rounds.
She's got a 2.4 degree difficulty, a forward 1 1/2 somersault, 2 1/2 twist, and she's short. She is short. She did not catch the board. She did not ride the board well, and that made a lot of difference in how she finished that dive.
And she only scores 36.72. And Mickey, as close as this competition is, no diver can afford to make a mistake.
Well, let's take a look at it and find out exactly what happened. As she gets here to the end of the board, notice she sort of cuts off her height, twists a little bit early, and there she's finishing so low that she's not able to make the vertical. And watch the underwater work. She has to take it right to the bottom. She can't afford to save on that dive.
Amy McGrath of Indiana is currently in 8th place, and for her to jump all the way up to the top, Mickey, she'd have to have something like, well, 60 points or more. Is she capable of doing that?
Well, this is a 2.6 degree difficulty. If she does it well, it's possible to get 60 points, and it's a nice dive. I don't think it's going to be enough to get that many points, but certainly she went after that dive and pulled off a very, very nice trick.
The Big Ten champion scores 50.70. Not too bad.
And, of course, the reverse 1 1/2 somersault layout Amy did is one of the prettiest dives in the book. And right here, we'll watch her set herself up in the hurdle. She's in good position here. She has a small form break at this point, but from here on, Amy really does a nice dive.
I liked her style as an Olympian on the tower, and I like it on the springboard. Karen Gorham of Arkansas was in first place going into this round, but she now needs 36 points to catch Lisa Sharp. And Mickey, most of the coaches have said that they think she's the one to beat.
Well, she certainly has set a hard pace to follow right now, and this 2.4 degree difficulty can really set her up well. Reverse 1 1/2 somersault, pike position, and she is short. She did not quite get to the vertical on that dive, and that will be reflected in the score.
5 1/2.
And even with that slight miss by Karen, it's going to be a tall order for our next diver, Michelle Hain. Before the meet, Michelle told us how she feels about her next dive, a reverse 1 1/2. It's a toughie.
I'm usually pretty nervous about this dive, and I am thinking mainly of not leaning forward, but then not being back on the board either. So I'm neither landing in the middle of the pool or being too close to the board. And the best thing for me to think about is nothing, but it's kind of hard to do that.
So Michelle is now trailing Karen Gorham by 47 points. Michelle in 4th going into this round.
Now this dive is a tricky one. The reverse 1 1/2 somersault layout, 2.6. There should be no bend in her body. She can do it in layout position, and boy, she pulled it off. The pressure was on, and she lived up to it. Very nice dive.
And she scores a 49.14. We told you it was close. She has now moved ahead of Karen by less than 2 points.
And Merle, this was the dive I broke my arm on in the 1968 Olympic Games, and you'll see here that Michelle is nowhere near the diving board, and she does a very nice dive.
Wait a minute, Mickey. Weren't you on the board 10 minutes later?
I'm not so sure it was smart, though.
Chris Gintz is the pride of Minnesota, 47 points behind Michelle Hain.
Watch this, 2.5 twisting, back 1.5, not too bad. It's a little bit over, but a tricky dive, and she does a pretty good job.
The award.
They say she's the strongest diver to ever compete at Minnesota.
5 1/2.
And she scores a 45.24, a little bit short.
Now watch from overhead the action of the arms as she does a 2.5 twister by putting one arm across her stomach and the other arm goes right behind her head. Right here you can see it. And as she pikes down here to finish the dive, you see a little bit of a cast going into the water.
And we have another new leader, Michelle Hain, up from 4th to 1st. And as you can see how close the competition is, only 3 points separate the first 3 positions. And going into the final round, anyone can win it. Now to the CART Phoenix 150 at Phoenix International Speedway.
In Singapore, we'll
separate the first 3 competitors. Before we go on, here are some divers who competed in the meet that we can look forward to hearing from in the future, like Jill Webster of Cincinnati.
And Jill has already placed as high as 5th in the U.S. Springboard Championships, Merle.
Then Ann Bowers, Iowa.
And Ann is noted for her tower diving. Last year, she was 7th in the Olympic trials.
Tracy Terrell is from Southern Illinois University.
Tracy is another fine tower diver. She is placed in the finals in the U.S. Tower Diving Championships.
From the sunny campus of the University of Arizona comes Michelle Mitchell.
And Michelle is only 19 years old. As a high school student, she was a state champion in gymnastics. And we welcome her into the diving family.
Out of Ohio State in the Big Ten, Debbie Rush.
And Debbie is another former gymnast turned diver.
The pride of the Crimson Tide from Alabama, Barbara Logan.
Barbara is a business major at Alabama, and she's placed as high as 6th already in the U.S. Diving Championships.
So keep an eye out for these talented divers in the future. Now we go to the 11th and final round here at the University of South Carolina. On the board in 4th place, Lisa Sharp, a sophomore from Miami, and she will need a very strong dive, Mickey.
And she has a relatively low degree of difficulty dive right here, a back 1 1/2 twister, and it's short. It's short. The pressure was on, and she wasn't able to pull it off.
5 4 1/2. 5.
And scoring 35.19 on that dive, that just about eliminates her from the competition.
You can see here she, again, cuts off her top, does not go as high as she could. Therefore, she finishes low and cannot quite get to the up and down vertical.
Amy McGrath of Indiana in 5th place will also need a very high score on this dive.
A reverse 1 1/2 somersault, 1 1/2 twist, a strong dive for Amy. That's coming through in the clutch.
The award.
And that 47.52 has brought Amy McGrath from way back in the pack into 1st place, and that's the way it's been going in this competition. And that really puts the pressure on Karen Gorham, who is next. Karen went into this round in 2nd place, and last year in Las Vegas in the championship, she finished 2nd to Denise Christensen.
Now watch this back twister from overhead. She puts this dive last because it's a strong one for her. Good action, good dive. Again, living up to the competition.
The award.
She needed 34 points to take the lead. She scores 46.23, and she is now in 1st place.
7 1/2.
And Merle watched the strong jump as she leaves the board with good twisting action. Nice pirouette, pikes down here, and puts that dive away.
Now we have 2 more divers to go, and we'll be back with the exciting finish from Columbia, South Carolina.
Michelle Hain, reverse 1 1/2 somersaults, 1 1/2 twist, free, 2.4.
Back in Columbia for the final 2 dives, Southern Methodist Michelle Hain in 1st place going into this round is now 2nd.
And there's no tomorrow, Merle. She must hit this dive. And she does! is. Michelle is a senior. She's been here before. That dive has won her championships in the past, and it set her up beautifully in this contest.
And it may win a championship for her today. She gets a 47.52. She is back in first.
And watch as she jumps up toward the camera. Notice the smooth twisting action, and she pikes down here and does that dive the way it's supposed to be done.
Now the pressure goes to Chris Gentz, the junior from Minnesota. She must score more than 50 points to overtake Michelle Hayne and win the championship.
And with a 2.8 degree of difficulty, it is possible, but 2.8 gives you a clue. This is a difficult dive. Reverse 2 1/2. Good turnover, good kick, and it's a good dive. Really good dive for Chris Gentz.
Now what will the judges decide? Here's the score. 59.64. She is the winner. She is the 1981 AIAW National Diving Champion with a total score of 447.03. Chris Gentz of Minnesota is the champion.
And here's the look at the dive that wins this competition for Chrissy Gentz. A nice high takeoff, a real compact tuck, and when she kicks right here, she knows she has that dive.
And what a comeback from a back injury of a year ago that sidelined her for the season. Chris Gentz is the new champion. Michelle Hayne is second. Karen Gorham is third. Here is Mickey with a new title holder.
Chrissy, you're a great champion. You really put some dives together in the finals, and you really, really were terrific. Why today? What worked today?
Well, I think right before finals, when my coach Frank Oman talked to me, he told me he had a gut feeling this was the day. He was confident, and I was confident, and it all went together today.
Well, it sure did. You were terrific.
And so the AIAW has a new diving champion, Chrissy Gentz of the University of Minnesota. And Mickey King Hogue, how about that? A champion for the Northland.
Well, she did herself proud. And, of course, the Big Ten has known about her all along. She didn't start in first place, but she sure worked herself up there, and it was a terrific contest.
Are there other stars for the future?
I think everyone in the finals today is going to be a potential that we're going to see for a long time to come.
Our congratulations to Chrissy Gentz. Now I'm Merle Harmon along with Mickey King Hogue saying goodbye from the 1981 AIAW National Diving Championships in Columbia, South Carolina.
Goodbye. Mike Adamle, eat your heart out.
Well, Mickey, Mike's dive was off the high platform, so we'll give Merle only a 4.0 on his dive. Hope he wasn't wearing his watch.
Today you're seeing the AIAW National Women's Diving Championship. You know, the AIAW is much greater than this one championship. It's the nation's largest governing body for intercollegiate athletics, with over 900 member institutions, and offers 39 national championships in 17 sports.